Hello, and thank you for taking time this weekend to join us here on KREM 2 News. I'm Cody Proctor, and this is the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. We know life gets busy, and it can be tough to keep up with all the news. So let's get you updated on some of the headlines from this past week. We found out about the family's release from Latinos on Spokane on Saturday when they posted the news on Facebook. And on Monday, a federal judge signed a dismissal order. Court documents filed Friday show Arnaldo Tio Call and his daughter were released from ICE custody. You may remember the two were detained in Spokane last month by Border Patrol agents and taken to a processing center in Dilley, Texas. One of the attorneys who worked on the case is immigration attorney Dan Gividen in Texas. A Gonzaga graduate, he took on the case pro bono after hearing about it while scrolling on his phone.
Unfortunately, this particular case is far too much like so many cases that I'm dealing with right now.
Gividen filed a habeas corpus petition last week. Habeas corpus allows people to legally challenge their detention.
It is me going in to that federal court and saying, hey, look, this non-citizen is currently in ICE custody, and that detention is unlawful. That detention is unlawful, and here's the reasons why.
According to him, the reasons he listed in the petition included DHS violating their own regulations. In his work as an immigration attorney, he's made about 60 habeas corpus filings within the last 5 months or so. Before that,
in the prior 6 years, 5. Okay. And so it used to just be, hey, they've been in custody too long after a removal order. But now the federal courts are flooded with these habeas petitions.
Then Gividen says something rare happened last week. Tiu Call and his daughter Carla were released from ICE custody before the federal judge could officially order it.
To be clear, it is very unusual. Again, I've filed more than 60 of these, and only 2 people have gotten released before the judge issued the order.
When you found out the news that they were released, what were your initial thoughts?
As many times as it's happened over the past few months, I can honestly say it was one of the kind of 3 or 4, I think, that meant the most.
Now, while Gividen's treating the family's release from ICE custody as a win, he also said he'll be a lot busier now after the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of the Trump administration's policy of detaining millions of undocumented immigrants without the chance to challenge their detention. In the newsroom, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
22 years. That's how many years Alexander Komoyarov will spend in custody after pleading guilty to murder, assault, and unlawful imprisonment of an 8-year-old little girl.
Alexander Komoyarov told a Spokane County judge he takes full responsibility for his actions.
I am lost for words. My actions said enough.
Komoyarov's sentencing is the second in the case over the death of an 8-year-old Mila Miller. As part of a plea deal, he will spend 22 years in prison.
All I can ask of all of you is to forgive me. I deserve the punishment.
In December of 2022, Komoyarov was arrested along with his girlfriend, Mandy Miller. Investigators say the two drove Miller's 8-year-old adopted daughter, Mila, from Airway Heights to South Dakota in a U-Haul truck. Court documents show Mila was already deceased while in a coffin inside the vehicle. Investigators described the couple's story of how Mila died changed, and Komoyarov admitted to hitting the girl and tying her in a bathrobe similar to a straitjacket. He also told investigators his girlfriend Miller would also hit Mila's toes with a hammer when she would misbehave.
The state does acknowledge the defendant's meaningful cooperation with law enforcement and the prosecution, and his plea also spares the community a trial.
Mandy Miller was sentenced to 32 years just days ago on February 6th. Tuesday afternoon, Judge Michelle Zamblin told Komoyarov she recognized his ability to take responsibility since his arrest, but emphasizes no sentence will ease the pain of Mila's family.
It's a terrible day, but I do hope that it gives some legal finality to the family.
A Spokane County Victim Witness Unit advocate read statements from Mila's grandmother and aunt before The final sentence:
to experience sadness, shock, and heartbreak as I try to live with knowing she is gone and that she didn't have anyone to protect her.
Chief Deputy Criminal Prosecutor for Spokane County stated after the sentencing that it was encouraging to see Komoyarov admit guilt.
And as the years go by, the things that Amelia will never be able to do, the highlights, the moments, the birthdays, the holidays, that will never leave these families. And as a community, it should never leave us.
I'm reporting in Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Well, this afternoon, prosecutors told jurors this case is a story of secrets. Now, when the crimes happened, the two survivors were minors, and now they are adults. Catherine Cowell faces 2 counts of lewd conduct with a minor under the age of 16. We are not naming the survivors because they were minors at the time of the alleged crime and because of the nature of this crime. Now, the prosecutor told the jury they would hear testimony from those 2 survivors. And as for the defense attorney, she told jurors to listen carefully to their testimony and the details they share.
Listen to the details. Listen to any changes in the details from one time of telling the story to the next, because those things are important. It's also very important that you think about motivations.
We're all done with this trial. I'm going to come back. I'm going to ask you to find the defendant guilty of 2 counts for both children of lewdness and misconduct. Thank you.
Cowell's husband, Richard Cowell III, pleaded guilty to similar charges in July. He was sentenced to 17 years fixed and could serve up to 5 more years after that. Prosecutors said last year his plea cannot legally affect Cowell's trial. Now, the trial is scheduled to last through this week, but we can potentially expect the attorneys to rest their case by as early as this Wednesday. We'll keep you updated on the conclusion of this case when the jury reaches a verdict. In Sandpoint, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Before we get back to this week's headlines, we want to remind you, you can get the latest news and weather forecast anytime you want on KREM 2 Plus. It's our streaming app you can watch on your TV, and best of all, it's free. We hope you'll check it out, but now let's get back to the Week in Review.
The city says this aims to help immigrant families with expenses, while opponents argue the money is just not in the city's budget.
Mayor Lisa Brown and several city council members say the money will help immigrant families who may have a member detained by immigration enforcement. If passed by council, the money would go towards the Spokane Immigrant Rights Coalition, also known as CIRC's Community Justice Fund, which assists families with housing, health care, and transportation.
This is money that will be able to help families who maybe don't have that breadwinner of the family able to support them. We know that it can break up families.
Aaron Hutt with the city says there was concern about the money going to CIRC during Spokane City Council's committee meeting last night, since they are not a 501c3 nonprofit. She clarified the funds will have the Spokane nonprofit Muslims for Community Action and Support act as CIRC's fiscal sponsor. That means the nonprofit will help manage where the money will go.
There was an informal competitive process, so we contacted a handful of organizations, and so CIRC was identified as the organization that would be best suited to handle those funds.
Councilmember Michael Cathcart says the money being on the table took him by surprise.
So I was frankly stunned and shocked.
He says he's against the funds going through due to the city projecting a $13 million deficit in its general fund, as well as what he says are unanswered questions into how CERC was chosen.
I requested a full legal analysis by our legal team to help me understand what the impacts might be. Did they comply with all the appropriate procurement requirements? Is the source of the funding adequate or appropriate?
The City Council is expected to vote on the money at their meeting scheduled for February 23rd. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Representative Ted Hill says at the end of the day, this bill is about unity to make sure that everyone feels welcome on publicly owned spaces. Representative Hill says this change started back last summer after Boise Mayor Lauren McLean refused to follow the law after the legislature clamped down on flag flying last session. This House bill is a revised version of House Bill 96, which limited the flags that could be flown by state and local governments. The notable exception to this law at the time was official city and county flags. That language prompted McLean to denote the pride flag and the flag honoring National Donate Life Month, which is in April, as official city flags to comply with the existing law. Verbiage in this new bill states official city and county flags can only be flown so long as they were made official before January 1st of 2023, which now invalidates McLean's previous proclamation. This provision also means no city or county in Idaho would be able to update their respective flags. Representative Hill reiterates that this legislation only affects flag poles on.
So anything that's up a state flagpole looks like the state is endorsing something that's unfair to everybody else. And that's the objective. It's fairness politically, where the government doesn't show favoritism from the government's perspective.
Approved flags include the U.S. flag, state and county flags, military flags, recognized tribe flags, and official flags of countries other than the United States to commemorate special occasions, but excluding countries with which the United States is engaged in hostile action. There was concern that this bill included the banning of the Basque flag. Representative Hill clarified the Basque flag falls under that official flag of countries other than the United States exception. The bill also includes a $2,000 a day fine for non-compliance. Now, the bill is heading to the House floor and is expected to be voted on here in the next couple days. In Coeur d'Alene, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Cody Proctor. It's been a busy week all across the Inland Northwest, so let's help catch you up on some stories you might have missed.
East Valley School District parents and administration I talked to are urging the community to vote yes on a $220 million bond measure meant to address aging school facilities.
Falling tiles, rust, cracks, and carpet covered in duct tape are just a few things I am told students and staff at East Valley High School deal with every day.
This metal casing replaced old tiles that fell, because what happens is when they made the structure of this building, the flashing, when it fails, the water goes behind the tiles and then pops the tiles off.
The $220 million bond measure is meant to replace East Valley High School, built 64 years ago, and East Valley Middle School, built 57 years ago.
Putting these out here to identify, hey kids, students, staff, family, don't come near this. It's not good.
District officials tell me in the past 11 bond measures, only one has passed in 1996. Signs on North Harvard in Otis Orchard show both support and opposition for the bond.
You talk to the kids, you learn the schools are at their end of life. They are aging out.
But one district parent and school volunteer I talked to, Richard Stokes, has 3 kids in the school district. He tells me it's time to stop kicking the can down the road.
A lot of the new tech programs and the future is where we're going. They were built before internet connections were brought into the schools. And so kind of modernizing our stuff rather than just getting by is very important to us.
For supporters like Stokes and Arnold, they emphasize the district needs the facilities to support future changes in school curriculum.
Education is very important to us. We're trying to put our best foot forward to give our kids a future.
We want to be ready for the future for our kids. We don't have the facilities to support that. And as industry and as jobs change, we can't keep up.
Spokane County ballot drop boxes will be open until 8 p.m. Tuesday. For now, I'm at East Valley High School. Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
In a North Idaho College Special Board of Trustees meeting on Monday night, applause and cheers were all to see and hear after the Northwest Commission of Colleges and Universities, also known as NWCCU, announced North Idaho College is now in good standing and will get to keep its accreditation. The feeling of gratitude especially coming from retired Coeur d'Alene School District teacher Jane Morgan, who attended Monday's board meeting.
Feels great. Kind of removes the gloom of February.
This decision's been in question since 2021 when the Accreditation Board warned North Idaho College about what they say was instability of board leadership. In 2022, the college was sanctioned by the commission, and 1 year after that, NIC received a show cause sanction, which is the last step before a college loses its accreditation. The commission said this was not because of financial or academic concerns, but because of how the Board of Trustees governed the college in the past. NIC Chair Terry Zimmerman says while the past is the past, it is inexcusable to have had the college be in the standing it once was in.
It is important to say clearly and without hesitation, what happened at North Idaho College should never have happened.
If they were to lose NIC's accreditation, federal funding would be taken away and the school may have had to close. Last year, the commission gave the college a 1-year extension to get back in good standing and focus on 3 major areas of improvement: trustee conduct, employee retention, and financial sustainability. They found NIC did improve on those fronts, which sparked the decision to put them back in good standing after they found those changes were met. It's an update Morgan says will only benefit the Northern Idaho community.
Education for the community in terms of its economy, for jobs for these young people, as well as some older people who have returned to school.
The commission says the college now falls into standard evaluations, including one of institutional effectiveness scheduled in 2027. All the while, folks like Morgan are glad to breathe a sigh of relief, knowing NIC did what it could to bring its good standing as a school back for the community.
Very excited. This has been a long journey for the college.
Before we wrap up this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review, we have one more story you might have missed this past week. For the majority of the year, the intersection at 6th and Cedar in downtown Wallace is just like any other. But for 3 days in February, it goes from this to this. With the return of the Wallace Extreme Ski Jour. All through President's Day weekend, ATVs pulling skiers and snowboarders will race down Cedar Street, clearing obstacles and hitting big air or big crashes. It's an event Ski Wallace President Siobhan Curette looks forward to every year.
It's very unique and it's so fun to watch. There's so many people in the streets just having a great time, and the athletes are incredible.
But with our unusually dry winter, don't they need this? According to the Idaho Department of Water Resources, North Idaho snowpack sits between 50 to 65% of its average. Despite the tough numbers, Curette says they have a plan to have the ski jour this year.
We have snow in various piles throughout town. Once we get it all together on Thursday night, we'll see exactly what our course is going to look like. We might need to make some modifications.
It's welcome news for Brenda Johnson, who owns Johnson's Gems in downtown Wallace. The winter months are her slowest times of the year, and the Extreme Ski Jour helps get them through.
This is a really important weekend for us. It's for the whole community. You know, we may be a 9-to-5 business, but it definitely is an impact on us.
With only days left, there's still a lot of preparation, including getting contest registrations and setting up the course. But Curette says this event will happen, fresh snow or not.
There's no way we would cancel the event. We'd figure out a way to make it happen no matter what.
Now, if you are interested in checking out the Extreme Ski Jour event, it kicks off this Friday. It's set to last through Sunday. In downtown Wallace, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News. Thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Be sure to keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching.